Woo! Hold on to your butts. It's Fantasy Romance February. Hello everyone and welcome to my channel again. My name is April and I am so excited because this month is Fantasy Romance February and I love fantasy romance books. They're so great. I love getting lost in another world and royalty with kings and queens and monsters and epic battles and I just love it all. So I have a list of books that I really want to get to. I have so many fantasy romance books that it's really hard to narrow down because I'm not the fastest reader ever. But you know what? We do what we can do. The first book I want to talk about is actually not a fantasy romance, but it is a historical romance. So I consider those kind of fantasy-esque because they give me the same fantasy vibes to them. And that book is Tender Rebel. Crystal and I from Books Forever After are doing a read-along that is going to last all year long. We are reading each book from the Joanna Lindsay's Mallory Anderson series. There are 12, and this is our second book, Tender Rebel. I don't know anything about it. I just know this book centers around this family, and they're somewhat pirates, maybe? Also, we're going to read this, and then we have a live show scheduled on my channel this month on February 26th, I think. It's a Sunday, and it will be at 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern. And I can't wait to get to these books. The first one, I had so many freaking notes that I went a little overboard with, and that's okay. So I'm sure I'll have the same kind of notes for the second one. The next read-along that I want to announce is actually an ACOTAR reread, and I haven't reread it in probably a year. Honestly, this is probably my most reread series, but I don't care. It's one of my favorites. And so I'm really excited to join this group of ladies and talk about this book. Jess from Honest Fiction put this together, and I'm so happy she invited me. She just put the call out, and I was like, sure, me. So this read-along is hosted by Jess from Honest Fiction, and we will be joining her on her channel for a live show on February 25th at 3 p.m. Eastern. Who else is going to be on there? Me, of course. Sam from Sam Reads a Little, Jessica from Peace Love Books, Issa from Fun Fantasy Books, and Christy from Christy Reads a Lot. So I am very excited to join these ladies and talk about this book because it is absolutely one of my favorites. But also, I don't know, every time I read it, I have different feelings. So it will be interesting to see what I feel about it this year. So the next book that I have on my list is also one of the only other non-fantasy books that I have, and it's actually an arc that I really want to get to and need to read this month. It is Hotel of Secrets by Diana Biller, another historical romance. I love Diana Biller's first two books. One was like The Widow of Rose House, and the next one was The Brightest Star in Paris. I don't know what this one is about either, but I'm really excited to read it because I love Diana Biller's writing. I think it's really great. Even though I didn't finish Brightest Star in Paris. Yeah, Brightest Star in Paris because I got triggered in that moment. I still actually gave it 4 stars because I read back like 85% of it and it was really great. So really excited to get to that arc. The rest of the books on my list, absolutely fantasy romance books. And the first one that I have to get to this month that I've been dying to read because everyone on the internet says it's good. And you know what? I am probably going to think so as well. That book is The Serpent and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent. I don't know a lot about this book. All I know is there's vampires and then there's some kind of game trials that she has to go through. And that sounds amazing to me. Those are like quintessential fantasy romance things, you know? So yes, this book I am dying to read and will absolutely be getting to it like almost immediately. The next book that I'm definitely picking up this month is one that I've been dying to get to. It came out in December, And I've heard mixed things, but I don't care. I'm going to read it. Actually, I'm going to read it on audiobook. And that is Queen of Myth and Monsters by Scarlett St. Clair. This is another vampire romance that is also dealing with royalty. And I loved the first one. The first one was a fun time. So I'm hoping this one continues that. Again, I still need to take the sticker off, but that's okay. We'll see. I can't wait to get to this one either. I cannot do a fantasy romance reading marathon without at least one monster book. So I think I'm going to choose one that's on my physical TBR, and that is I Married a Minotaur by Regina Abel. This is not the first book, but I think I saw that you don't have to read these in order. So I'm going to go ahead and read this one because, as you can see, I like to turn all my books around, and I actually leave the unread ones turned out. So it becomes my mission in life to turn all the books I own around. And I think this will help me achieve that goal. The next book that I have to get to this month is one I just started and gave the first book 5 stars to. That is the second book that I need to read is The Kingdom of Blood and Betrayal by Holly Renee. The first book I had so much fun reading that I just need to immediately get into the second book. These books are quite short, honestly. I think they're under 300 pages, but they were really, really good. I kind of liked that they weren't like massive. There isn't massive world building. There isn't like extenuating circumstances. It truly does get right to the point, and the plot is very snappy. So that worked for me, and I really want to get to the second one. So the next one that I'm going to get to has been sitting on my scribed TBR list, waiting for me, and that is The Dark King by Gina Maxwell. Again, I don't know anything about this. I think it's vampires. If it's not vampires, it's fae. I just know it's spicy, and I love a good fantasy romance spicy book. So might as well try it out. The next book is kind of like a second book, but really it's a 5th book. And that book is called Bizarre by Lily Archer. The reason why I say that is this is an 8-book series. It's called the Phase Captive series, and the first 4 books are one couple, and the second 4 books are another couple. Well, I just finished Taken, which is the first book of the second couple, Beth and Gareth, and now I'm ready to move on to the second one, and this one's called Bizarre. Again, I think I said that. These books end in a cliffhanger, and then you're immediately taken into the next one. They are so good. They're like 90-something pages, so they're really quick and easy to get to. Beth is a character that just gets me. Like, she's so funny, and she just says whatever she wants to say and gets herself in a lot of trouble for it. And then all of the mates, this is a Fated Mates kind of book, all of the mates are very cavemen-like. They're like, must save mate, brr, 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 brr. I don't know, for whatever reason, I just live for it. So, gotta get to that one. And the last book that I want to talk about today is one that I don't know much about, but I love the title, and it's a new to me author. And it's called Married to a Pirate, and this is by Athena Rose. All I know is fantasy, pirates, steamy romance. I am sold. I have no idea what this book is about. I generally do not know what these books are about. But if you give me some trigger words like pirates, fantasy romance, and really steamy times, I am hooked. You have sold me. So I must read right now. So those are all my picks for Fantasy Romance February. What books are you reading? One thing I will say is that I am not cool with the complete lack of diversity in this readathon. I can find a lot of romance for like paranormal stuff and contemporary Black romances. However, I am struggling at finding spicy fantasy romances by Black authors. So if you can recommend one to me in the comments, that would be greatly appreciated. I will absolutely add it to my TBR, and we'll talk about it when I wrap up next month. All right. Well, that's all I have for you today. So I hope you have a wonderful day as always, and I'll see you next time. Bye.